My child is not physically violent. Too much has happened to her in her life for her to physically assault somebody else. I will say that the sentence is exponentially less than we thought it was going to be. I really was kind of emotionally prepared for them to come back with a 2-year sentence. Thank God they only came back with a 90-day sentence. I think that 3 months will pass a lot quicker than 2 years. So while I am not happy because Cecily is still in jail, I am relieved that it is not to the severity that we thought it was going to be, even though it should have been not even what actually happened here. I think that Cecily never set out to be a martyr. She never set out for this to be some whole big movement that had her name and her face on it. And she would say a lot of times during the trial, I have no idea why this is so, I'm not this interesting, I have no idea why this is happening like this and why they're blowing this out of proportion and why they're throwing so much vigor into this case. And it shocked all of us. But I think it is definitely a larger testament to what's happening globally, what's happening socially, economically, and literally Cecily's defied all types of logic where this whole case is concerned because she's not who people think she is, and she's never set out to be anybody other than who she was. And so in that, while she holds fast to her beliefs, while she holds fast to everything that's around her, and she takes her experiences, she takes every traumatic situation she's ever been through, and she doesn't wrap it around her and use it as an excuse for her not to move forward. She takes those things, she looks them in the face, and she goes, okay, how do we move on this? Where are we going to go? And I just, hope that whatever she does inspires hope for other people.
And you mentioned also just how people were astonished about this case when first hearing about it. Maybe for people, just a perspective, what Cecily is like for people out there, for, one example that you could give for people, just at a broader perspective of, of what happened here.
Well, I mean, you kind of asked me two different questions. Cecily is 25, for crying out loud. She is a kid. She is an idealist. She's a dreamer. She is always concerned about justice and what's right and what's fair and what's not fair and how could they do that because that's not fair. And that is always who she's been. She's always been a vocal, and she was no easy teenager by any shake of the story. So we are not here to martyrize her. We're not here to make her perfect. We're not here to do any of that. You know what I'm saying? She was a difficult kid. She was a difficult kid because she always spoke her mind, and that made a lot of people really, really uncomfortable, even then. But she's never backed down from saying what she believes. But the one thing that she is not is my child is not violent. Cecily is not going to fight you. She would rather fight you with words, and she would rather fight you with reading, and she would rather, say, hey, this is how this is what the law says, this is, I'm gonna write this letter that says blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? But my child is not physically violent. Too much has happened to her in her life for her to physically assault somebody else.
Of achieving social change. And so she does not engage in that, and that is her reputation. In fact, we had one witness who testified that among the Wall Street or the Occupy Wall Street community, Cecily was known as the queen of nonviolence.
There's this pop culture idea of the trial in America, that the trial is the place where justice is done, where two equal sides battle it out to find the truth. And this is such bullshit. Anyone who has been in a court for any amount of time realizes